Okay, so now let's move on to the next sutram in the Ashtadhyayi order, which is 3319, which says Akartricha Karake Sanyayam. Akartricha Karake Sanyayam. We just finished studying 3318, which was Bhave, which allows us to use this affix ghanya following a verbal root in the sense of bhavaha. And at that time we defined bhavaha as siddhavasthapanna dhatvarthaha, to convey the sense of a completed action. Now this Sutram 3319 extends the use of this affix ghai to denote any karakaha. Karakaha is basically a participant in the action, one who makes the action happen, but not in the kartrikarakaha, but it cannot be used to denote the agent of the action. So this is a very important Sutram 3319, because sometimes when we think of this affix ghai and we think of bhavaha, what we call abstract nouns in English, and we forget this Sutram 3319, which allows us to use this affix to denote any karakaha, any participant in the action, but not the agent. But there's one more condition here. It has to be sanyayam. Sanyayam. Sanyayam here basically means that it should not be the mere etymological or derivative meaning. It should have a conventional or traditional meaning on top of it, what's called as a rudharthaha. Rudharthaha means that it should mean a particular thing. It should mean something particular, not just anything which fits the derivation, which fits the etymology. For example, we're going to soon derive this word prasevaha. Praseva is a sack, that which is stitched. So prasivyanti tam prasevaha, that which people stitch. Now anything which is stitched does not become prasevaha. Praseva has to have that extra meaning, that rudhartha of a bag or a sack. That is prasevaha. We cannot take anything which is stitched and say this is prasevaha. That is what is meant by sanyayam. Sanyayam is it has to have this extra conventional meaning to refer to a particular thing. Then only this affix can be used, not just to convey the etymological meaning. It has to have an extra meaning. That's what's called as the rudhartha, the conventional traditional meaning. In this case, it means a sack or a bag. So bag is called prasevaha. Just anything which is stitched is not called prasevaha. Okay, so now this Vritya Sutram simply says Kartribhinne Karake Ghani Syat, which means that the affix Ghani may be used following a verbal root to denote any Karakaha except the agent of the action, provided the word so derived is a proper name, that is Sanyayam. I put a small note over here. This topic of Karakaha, Karaka Prakaranam, we will be studying very shortly after we finish this Kridanta Prakaranam. We'll move on to the Karaka Prakaranam. So that's going to be the next topic. We'll spend quite a lot of time on that. But for the time being, just so we understand some very basic definitions, the note here says that a karakaha means the capacity in which a thing becomes instrumental in bringing about an action. So participant in the action, it makes the action possible in one capacity or the other. It makes the action possible. And in grammar there are 6 of these. The first, of course, is Kartrikarakaha is the main participant in the action, is the agent of the action, one who does the action. Then Karmakarakaha is the object of the action, that on which the action operates, the object of the action. Then Karan-karaka, the instrument of the action, by means of which the action is accomplished by the agent. So the agent uses the instrument to accomplish the action, so it's called the Karan-karaka, that's the instrument. Then Sampradana-karaka, the recipient or the beneficiary of the action, for whose sake the action is being done. Yes, this Sampradana-karaka. Then Apadana-karaka is a separation or detachment or ablation. For example, Chorad Vibheti, someone is afraid from, in English we say of, means from the thief. So the fear comes from the thief. So there is a separation there or detachment from the thief. There is a fear. So somebody is afraid, somebody wants to stay away from the thief. Separation, or what's called technically as ablation. In English, oftentimes we say from or than. That is the sense of ablation. So that's called the apadana karakaha. And then finally the adhikarana karakaha, the locus, the location in which the action takes place. So these are the 6 karakaha, shat karakaha, and we'll be seeing them in detail later on. But this sutram allows us to use this affix in any karaka to denote any karakaha except the agent. So not kartari, but any of the other 5. Also, as mentioned before, this anuvritti of bhave and akartri chakarake sanyayam runs all the way down to all the rules down to kritya luto bahulam prior to kritya luto bahulam. So basically up to 33112. Prior to 33113 kritya luto bahulam. Prior to that, anuvritti of 3318 as well as 3319 goes down. Okay, let's take one example here. Prasivyanti tam prasevaha. So that which people stitch, that which is stitched. So this is the object of the action. Of course, note that we could not use the sutram bhave in this sense because bhave only means the action itself, the completed act. So we need this sutram to derive these words like prasevaha, which are not in the sense of bhave, but they are in the sense of karake. It has to be akartari and also has to be sanyaya. The verbal root here is siv, which is dhatu patai shivu tantu santane from the divadikanaha. And upasarga para has been used here. And of course we know that the beginning shakaraha, murdanya shakara of the verbal root takes the sakara adesha by 6164 dhattvadeshasaha. Derivation is very simple. Add this affix in this meaning of akartri jakarake sanyayam, specifically in the meaning of karmani in this particular example, and we remove these letters nyakarasit sanya bhalantyam, ghakarasit sanya balashakvatajite tasya lopaha. Then we do puganta laghupatasya cha gunadesha in place of the ikara of siv. We get praseva, which gets a pradipadika sanya by krit. It is samasascha decline like rama shabdaha prathama ekvachan is praseva. So make a note of this important sutram because many times we tend to forget this one and just think of bhave. So remember that this affix is not used only in the sense of bhave. It can be used to denote any other participant of the action but not the agent, provided that there is a conventional sense conveyed on top of just the derivative sense.